how many? Oh, I should give you a bigger. No, you need to go into the. Okay, I should like just for the senior administrators in this room. For the senior administrators in this room, to give you a bit of technical background. Now I discovered the slide. I'm using them all the time. Okay, so for the senior administrators, just give a bit of technical background. We're actually doing a couple of technology platforms, maybe even 3. Okay, so for geography and for environmental education, we have to use. We are going to be using Second Life, and the reason we are going to be using Second Life is because Second Life is the platform which offers the most degree of control. It's a question of both control as well as authenticity in terms of its modeling. The physics, the geographical processes, for example, like wind and light and all those kinds of things. Okay, but for design and technology and for the IT Club, we're going to be using the open source version of Second Life, known as OpenSyn. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this is because I'm going to ask the budget people. I cannot remember offhand. How many Excel sims have you budgeted for? About 3, right? I think. Thanks, Matthew. 5. 5. Okay, we just conservatively call it 3. Okay? We call it. Really 5. 5.
Yes.
Not that I don't trust you, Matthew, but 5. I thought we had to cut it down. Okay, never mind. Okay, never mind. Yeah, okay. Okay, so we have. I'm good. Okay, never mind. I'll give you the full background. Okay, never mind. I'll give you the full background. I'm trying to draw the conversation slowly to the point where you all can talk meaningfully, because I'm going to hand it over to you all very soon. Okay, but I'm trying to, before I can do that, I need to give you maximum background. So initially, okay, so there are 4 schools, right? Oh, by the way, for those of you who are like totally brand new to Second Life, the reason I'm drawing squares on the board is because Second Life is a 3-dimensional environment, right? So if it's a 3-dimensional environment, it involves space, right? Primarily because everybody else in this room knows. So because it's a spatial environment, so the reason I'm drawing squares on the board is because the basic unit, the basic land unit of space in Second Life is a square. But how big this square is, so when you hear people talking about, oh, you bought Second Life, then you say like private island, oh, I bought an island in Second Life. So when they say those kinds of phrases, they're actually referring to a square. They're not. They're not referring to necessarily an island as we know it, but they're referring to island as a land unit. And this land unit is 256 meters by 256 meters. And when I say 256 meters by 256 meters, I'm referring to human scale. So because we are, there's one more part about I need to talk about yeah, I cannot hand you over without talking about So Rahimat, okay, when I talk about 256 meters by 256 meters, I'm about 2 meters, 1.8 tall, right? So 256 meters will be like that. So obviously not in real life, but in this, because your avatar is on the computer screen, your avatar is like this, right? So it will be 256 by 256 within the, but it's operating from like a real life 256 by 256, right? So so anyway, just now I asked Matthew how many islands we budgeted for. So we set 5, and why 5? Because it's, my model was like this, 4 plus 1. Okay? So I'm talking to the teachers now, so the teachers please continue to pay attention. So my model was originally 4 plus 1. Why 4? Because there are 4 schools. Then 1. Why 1? Because I was thinking this can be like a common sandbox. What's the sandbox? A sandbox is a sandbox is a technical term, but it actually means just a sandbox is a place where. I think I'll say what a sandbox is.
Essentially, this requires me to explain a bit about how Second Life works. In Second Life, essentially there are no restrictions on building things. You don't need to have raw materials in order to build things. You can pretty much conjure them up from vacuum. But the thing is that in order to prevent people from just littering basically, most areas of Second Life don't allow for the users to build to place objects in them. So that may be necessary in some areas of Second Life, the areas which we are using for instruction, some of them at least. So for other areas which are called sandboxes, it's an area where anyone can place or build objects.
Yeah, it's like a children's playground in school, right? It's a children's playground in school where the students can just they can mess around and build, and they can mess around with their tools to learn about how to build, so that when the lesson actually starts, oh, there's so many things I need to say, huh? Yeah. So many things I need to say. I need to talk about working out the fun, right? Then so that when the lesson actually starts, they already basically. Anyway, so I thought this is just a common, like a canteen or whatever, right? It's a canteen or a playground where people can where they can just mess around without actually messing up their school's land. Okay, so this was my model. However, I think we should also, just as we are in the business of questioning and everything, we should also question this model, right? So as geographers, I would like us to, I want us, when we start talking, after I talk about G and the other thing, I want us to think about how to arrange the space so that it doesn't appear. People, you understand what I'm talking about. I think the Korean people also know what I'm talking about. So that it doesn't appear as 4 separate units, but it can appear as one contiguous landmass with, this so key to any subject, especially so key to any subject area is context. And what is context in terms of geography? Context in terms of geography is spatial layout and land use. So we need to talk together as professional geographers how we are going to lay out the land so that it makes contextual sense to our students. Why must it make contextual sense to our students? It must make contextual sense to our students because they live in a flat country and a country which is urbanized. And therefore they have no opportunity to develop geographical intuition. Because they have no opportunity to develop geographical intuition, whatever they learn in school is very superficial. But if they had geographical intuition, to complete my diagram, if they had geographical intuition, which we find from Amokyo, then even when the question is twisted, they go back to first principles just like they would in physics or in math. What are the first principles of geog? The first principles of geog are, of course, different because they're specific to the subject, but they have recourse to this secret weapon which other schools will not, because other schools, the students will not have much opportunity to develop their intuition. So they only know, in others, most geography in Singapore is taught on a house of cards. A house of cards with zero foundation, because there's no opportunity for us to give them the foundation. We've inherited this curriculum model from the UK, and it works in the UK because what the UK people don't realize is that it works in the UK not because the model itself is sound, but because the UK model is built on a very strong intuition from preschool. And they go exploring the moors and whatever, the coast and the mountains or whatever. So I think you get my general point. So we need to have a conversation. So we cannot have this kind of conversation. We cannot have this kind of conversation. In order to have this kind of conversation, we also need to talk about which parts of the SOW, which parts of the syllabus we are more interested in. Okay? So for example, we've already got a good start. because we've got environmental education in Kuala. Okay? With Ang Mo Kio, we've got a good trajectory in map literacy. Notice I'm not using map reading, I'm using map literacy. Because to me, map reading, again, geography in Singapore, the way map reading is taught, it presumes something, you know. And what does it presume? It presumes that they are literate in the symbols and understand. It presumes that they're literate in yeah, but anyway, so then the other thing we talked about in Ang Mo Kio is we talk about hydrology. But we do not necessarily have to confine ourselves to these. Okay? Yeah. So this is for the benefit of the 4 schools who are present here. Yeah. Okay. So the reason I wrote G here